Okay. Hello, Gracie. Welcome to the pod.
Thank you. So happy to be here.
So happy to have you. So happy to have you. Okay, so what the heck are we talking about today? I am so excited about this new concept of the podcast that we're going to do together. And I'm really excited to inform the mamas of this. Okay, so long story short, let's give a bit of a DL on what we're doing. So Gracie's pregnant, very
Woo.
newly pregnant. How many weeks are you now?
I'm 11 and a half weeks.
11 and a half. Amazing. And I get mamas say to me all the time when they fall pregnant, friends say this, they're like, what do I do now? They just kind of don't really realize all the things that go into when you fall pregnant. What do I do now? How do I choose how I'm going to be looked after? Do I even have to be looked after? What sort of things do I do to prepare? All sorts of things. So, what we're going to do in this podcast and then monthly from now on until babe comes is figure out exactly what you do from day dot of your pregnancy onwards in your preparation journey, in your care journey, in your spiritual journey through pregnancy, and kind of figure out from your perspective, which is individual to you, and you can take bits that you like, you can leave bits that you like to prepare for this baby
I'm so
and
excited.
birth, of course. I'm so excited. Do you want to give a bit of a background of Gracie and I are actually friends? So do you want
Yeah.
to give a bit of a background?
Yeah. So do you mean like us, like how I met you or
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
And then in
So
general as well.
yeah, so hi, I'm Gracie. Ames and I actually did our yoga teacher training together ages ago now. When was that? Like 2018 or something?
Yeah,
I
ages
don't know.
ago.
Ages ago. And then yeah, we made like a like sweet little group of friends in the yoga training. And then we just stayed friends. We all became yoga teachers and like it's been really epic because we've stayed friends and like had dinners every week whenever we can, like when we're not away from each other. But then it's been really amazing to see like everyone start their own businesses and stuff. Like you were like, I'm really passionate about, natural birth and like pregnancy yoga and stuff like that. And then watching you go do that. And then our other girlfriend, Caitlin, who does like physio for women's health and stuff. That's just been amazing. And I feel so lucky. And I'm a photographer and I also teach yoga. So it's sort of been like you girls have come to me and I've been able to like help you out with photography and stuff like that. And obviously I haven't needed your guys' business until now. And now I'm like, I just feel so lucky. Like when I found out I was pregnant, it was obviously super overwhelming because I wasn't planning on getting pregnant. But I was like, oh my God, I've always said to myself, like, I just have the best support team. And I knew that already. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, but that's a little bit of a background.
Love that. Love that. Love that. Love that. So you are with your partner Brenton and you guys lived here, met here on the sunny coast. You met here on the sunny coast, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And then when was it at the start of the year or end of last year you moved to WA?
Yeah, yeah. Brenton and I met and then we came over to Western Australia and we did the Cape to Cape hike and we both just loved it over here. And then we were like, we should just move here. I had always lived on the Sunshine Coast and Brenton is a musician. So he was like, I want to, see what other creatives are out there and other opportunities and stuff. And I felt the same. And then COVID kind of kept us on the coast for a bit longer than we wanted to, but it ended up being for the best anyway. And then so we were like, if we don't go this year, we won't go at all. So at the end of last year, we literally just like sold all of our stuff and just worked our asses off pretty much to save money. And then, yeah, we just like packed our car and drove to Western Australia. Like we had already locked in a rental, in Western Australia before we got here. And then, yeah, we just like moved to Fremantle to start with. And yeah, it was crazy. Like just going to a place that you just don't know. And then, yeah, it
Yeah.
was wild. It was wild. And just sort of starting, like I run my photography business and just starting that all over again. It was, yeah, super, like it's been really challenging, but also really amazing to see what you can create if you just like don't, if there's no other option. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And don't you reckon that because we are who we are and we, identify in certain ways, we do certain things based on our identity that we have. And that's very much cultivated in the environment that we are. And then when you go somewhere new, like even when I go on holiday, sometimes I'm like, who the fuck even am I right now? You can just be a whole different person and nobody knows you. Obviously, you had Brenton, but nobody knows who you are or what you're usually like. So you can all of a sudden turn into like a bookworm that's super introverted, and then you can be the party girl, and then you can be all sorts of different people and just really try on these different identities to figure out what you really like. And I love that about especially living somewhere else. You would really get to experience that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think like moving is, especially with your partner, like it really not like make or breaks the relationship, but it's like a lot of pressure. So it kind
Yeah.
of it'll either bring you guys closer or make you want to be like, no, like, and that's not to say that everything was super easy. Like it just, I don't know, it definitely solidifies how you feel about that person because you see them in all of the ways, not just like in the comfort of being where you've always been. And especially the Sunshine Coast is like such a comfortable place, you know, it's so beautiful.
Mm.
Yeah.
Interesting. And you feel that way with Brenton?
Oh, absolutely. Like I think, well, so after we moved to Fremantle, I like almost knew straight away that I didn't like it there. Like it kind of started getting, so the winters in Western Australia are just like super wet and windy, and where we were living was like suburbia, and I literally never lived in suburbia before. Like I've always been by the beach. Like you saw our house that we were living in before.
Yeah.
It's like literally on the beach. And yeah, it just was like a really big, like I was like, holy shit, like I don't like it here. The people there, like in Perth, because it's a lot busier, like nobody looks at you in the eye, like everyone's really, there was a lot of crime where we were living, and I honestly just went through this like couple months of just a lot of anxiety, which is something that I thought I had overcome in my life. And I just went through
Yeah.
a couple of months actually of just like really, like I really had to go inward, and I just started, yeah, meditating a lot. And little did I know that I like was preparing to become pregnant, because it really did feel like I stopped drinking coffee, stopped taking anything, and really just went inward and felt this call to like really just not be afraid of what I was scared about, like just be ready to face it. And
Shed light on it.
yeah, and it really did, I had never really felt like, you know, they talk about the shadows and you're like working with your shadows and stuff, and I had never really like given myself the opportunity to actually feel what I needed to feel, even though I thought I had, like, but I think everything that I was doing in the past was really like I was coping with everything, but it wasn't like I didn't give myself the time. So I did, and it was hard, but I'm really grateful for it now, because I don't feel like I would be here if I didn't do that. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Mm.
Yes. Yes. Fun fact in you saying that, I was actually just listening to an epic podcast that I'll send you on the drive home. And there was this wild fact that women, mamas who are spiritually inclined and, all about going inwards and knowing themselves and self-awareness and stuff like that, their children are 80% less likely to experience depression.
Really?
Crazy. Yeah,
Wow, that is
I know.
crazy. I
That
hope
is
so.
crazy. That is crazy. And yeah, exactly what you were saying. My brother and I were actually just having this conversation yesterday about, like, you think you have a challenge, whether it be like this anxiety you're talking about or like a feeling of not being good enough or whatever it is, and you kind of overcome it. You're cruising, you're fine. And
Mm.
then something bigger will happen that will trigger that same wound. And then you overcome it, you heal that deeper, but then something else is going to happen and is going to continually kind of happen. And it's like this deeper healing journey.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, yeah,
Mm.
I completely agree. And now I feel like more, I'm like, now I've gotten to a place in myself, which has happened over time. Like, that's the thing. It doesn't just happen overnight, but like, I do feel like no matter what comes my way now, I'm just like going to be, I can handle it. Like, even if it is hard and I fucking like, I just don't feel like the same person. Like, I really had to go through that. And yeah, it's been a fucking wild ride.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And isn't that amazing? Okay. So this was all in the lead up to pregnancy. And
Yeah.
then do you want to, because also in that lead up, you guys had come to the conclusion that, we've loved it here, but we want to go back home to the Sunshine Coast, which
Yes.
the timing is just fucking wild, I think,
Yeah.
of all of this.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
Like I started to again get this feeling. I was like, I feel like we need to be at home with our family. Like, and I was like questioning. I really sat with it because I was like, is this fear? Like, is this just being just like
Yeah.
in discomfort? I could see that we both weren't like really happy not having our community because we're both quite involved at Zenko back in Noosa, on the sunny coast, like as yoga teachers, and that's such a beautiful community there that like I was really sad to, so was Brenton, like we were both really sad to leave it. And I just felt this like pull. I was like, oh, I feel like we just need to be back home. So then we both made the decision that we were gonna go home, and it felt really good. Like as soon as we made that decision, it was like a weight was lifted. And then we already locked in a little house in the hinterland up in Noosa, in Karoiba. So we have like already had a little house locked in and stuff. And then we got this opportunity to go up to the Kimberleys to, Brenton was playing music and I was taking some photos up there. So it was kind of like this light was coming at the end of like a bit of a dark period. Because the Kimberleys was an amazing experience. It's like up in the, I wouldn't call it a desert, but it technically is a desert up in north of, Western Australia. And we went there, and yeah, that's where we conceived our little baby.
Hubba, hubba.
Just having a bit too much fun.
So good. So good. Okay. So do you want to tell the story of your pregnancy, I guess, thus far? Like, talk about kind of what challenges you were faced with, like can be very practical, such as like, how am I going to receive care, to like deeper stuff you've gone through. Talk about all of this journey so far.
Yeah, for sure. So I literally had no idea that I was pregnant. Like I was already like 6.5 weeks or something like that when I found out. And the only thing that I was like, oh, was because my boobs had gotten bigger and I was having weird dreams at night, but I didn't know at the time that that was a pregnancy symptom. So
Mm.
my sister actually was just like, I think you should take a test. Like, I reckon you should take a test. So I took one, and then yeah, that I will never forget that feeling of just like, you're just like, wait, what? Especially because I've had problems with my period in the past. Like I didn't have a period for 6 years. So if you're listening to this and you've also had problems with your period, you can get pregnant. Let me tell you,
Yeah.
it can
So
happen.
still be cautious.
Yeah, I actually was like, I thought, because my last period, what I thought was a period was actually an implantation bleed, because my periods were so like random, and like they had been so, especially if I'm traveling, and I had traveled a lot that month. And yeah, so I just thought that that was my period. And then yeah, anyway, so that was like, it was a really big shock to the system, like just because when all you're thinking about is you, and then all of a
Yeah.
sudden, like holy shit, like I have something inside of me. And like I was on like a lot of supplements, like just I have always taken a lot of like, I don't know, like ashwagandha, like all of these things. And then like
Yeah.
slowly over time, I was like, holy crap, like I can't do, and like what can I do anymore? Like I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just sort of, so what happened was like I found out, told Brenton, and like yeah, he took it so well and he's been so amazing, which I'm so grateful for. And the next day, it was like a Sunday, I like found this random doctor in Bustleton, which is like an hour away from us, but it was like the only place with a doctor. And I was like, I just need to go see someone. Like I'm fucking freaking out right now.
Yeah.
It's because like I don't have any family here. I was just like, oh God. So then
Yeah.
I booked a doctor's appointment. I like didn't know what to do. Like you just don't know what to do. So I was like, I think I need to go to the doctors just to like, one, make sure this is legit. Two, find out what I need to do because I have no idea.
Yeah.
So then
Yep. Valid.
I went to that doctor's appointment, and like, I don't know, it's already been such an interesting journey because like I like went without Brenton, which like in hindsight, I definitely need him at the appointments, especially for those ones, because like I was like, no, I'll be fine. Like you do what you want. Like, little Miss Independent, like gonna do it like everything on her own. But like it was just
Yeah.
so much to sit there and like get all of this information. Like you need to get this test, you need to get that test, and then you need a test for this, and you can't have that. And like just I really felt like, well, with this doctor anyway, like I felt so much fear, and like there wasn't much like, oh my God, this is so amazing. It was so much of like, all of this can go wrong and you can't do this anymore. You know what I mean? Like it would just really felt like
Yeah.
so I like actually like I went to go pay and just like burst into tears. The chick at the reception was just like, "You okay?" And I was just like, "Oh, totally." I just told her the truth. Like I've been so honest to everyone because I'm like, people need to know. Like it's a lot.
Yeah.
You're not really sure what's going on.
Fair.
But yeah, I got all the tests done. Everything was fine, and then we got there. Obviously, found out that you needed to book in for like a dating scan to find out when you actually like how far you actually are along. So
Yeah.
then we did that at like about 8 weeks, and that was all good. It was really cool to actually like, because like especially in the first trimester, like you're having these symptoms, but like it's only been really recently that I've been experiencing like nausea. So up until
Yeah.
then, like I was actually training to do a half marathon. So like I was running like all the time. I was exercising like crazy. I was just like, I felt fine. And
Mm.
it has also made me question like how much of like when you get pregnant and like how much of the symptoms are placebo because you know that you're pregnant. I've also been questioning
Yeah.
which I don't know, like I'm not sure how I feel about it now because now that like I'm more further along and on reflection, like the fatigue is real and it has always been real, as in like before I was pregnant, before I knew I was pregnant, I was going to bed at like 8 and like just passing out, and that was like abnormal. But I also again thought that was just because I was running a lot. Uh,
Yes.
so interesting. I don't know, but it's probably because because Brenton originally said that to me, he was just like, "Do you have placebo? Like pregnancy, but is it the placebo?" And I like
Yeah.
got so triggered. I was like, "Fuck off! Like it's real." But no, because in the couple days before I found out I was pregnant, I was very emotional, just randomly like looking at the sunset, just being like, "Oh my God, like life," and like just crying so much. Like, but like not just like I was like, I must be getting my period because like I am so emotional right now. But yeah, and anyway, so got the 8 week scan. That was all good. That chick as well was a little bit insensitive. And I think when you're pregnant, you're a bit more sensitive. So it's just like, can you guys just be a little bit more gentle? And like, I feel like
Fair.
I'm already a sensitive person. So then, like, being pregnant on top of that, like, it's not their fault, but like, it would be nice to have a little bit more care. And, it just seemed
Like
with,
warmth.
yes. And especially, yeah. And they both just, it really made me feel like I was just another number in the system having a baby,
Yeah.
which for me, like my whole life has changed. Like I understand this is your job, but like this is my whole life. That's like it just didn't feel
Yeah.
like, and it's made me be like, I don't want that kind of care for the rest of my pregnancy. Um,
Mm. Definitely.
yeah, so I had that scan, so that was all good. And then I tried my hardest to try and get into the MGP program at Scoop.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
haven't heard back
Yeah.
yet. I don't know what's happening with that. But yeah, I decided that I don't know, like I'm gonna go down like the public route. I've decided.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking with my sister, like she's had two boys and she's kind of like which has been so amazing just to like have her to talk to. And she pretty
Yeah.
much like this one morning, because honestly, like for the first 2 weeks, my brain was just like like I just didn't was all I could think about. And yeah, she just explained to me like literally like every option that I have, like going private, going like working with, all the different options there are, and also like the options for birth as well. And
Yeah.
but it's really, really interesting. And this is something that I like wanted to talk about, was that like the first within the first moments of me finding out that I was pregnant, the first fears that came up was childbirth, and I straight away went, oh, it's okay, I'll just have a cesarean. That was my first thought. And now
What?
obviously but it's so interesting that that was my conditioned response. Like And that's not from my fault at all. It's just from like, my sister had 2 cesareans. And just like it's so common to just get cesareans. And then like the more I've sort of like, now I'm like, holy shit, I can't believe that was my first thought. Like I was obviously
Yeah.
just like uneducated, and like I didn't know enough at the time. But like now that I have educated myself more, and I'm like, holy crap, like we are actually born to do this. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm not, I don't know, I'm not at this point in time. Obviously, I'm still like in the first trimester, but I'm not completely tied to an outcome, because at the end of the day, I just want to be healthy and I want the baby to be healthy. Um, but I just find that really interesting that that was my conditioned response, you know?
Yes, valid. Because how were you born? Do you know?
I was natural.
Yeah, okay, cool, cool. So your mum had natural birth experiences.
Yeah. So my mom,
Yeah.
yeah, I asked her about that, and she said my sister was induced, and then because she was a really small baby, and then I was natural. I think maybe she had some sort of pain relief that didn't work or something like that. Um,
Yeah.
but yes, the more, so I've like chosen to go down like the public route, and hopefully I get into the MGP program. I don't really know, but like I also am just hoping that I get care from midwives who like see me as me, and not just like as somebody like that's holding a baby and like that, it just seems
Mm.
really, it seems really like baby and midwife focused, not so much the mother, you know what I mean? And like the ability
Mhm.
of the mother.
Mhm.
But this is just what I've learned so far. And the more that I drop into that and drop into my own power within myself, the more it feels way lighter and more natural and
Yeah.
empowering. Like just not being scared, like I have gone from
Mhm.
straight away thinking that I was going to be having a cesarean straight up, to now like how it's been like 5 weeks, and now I'm just like, I want to try and do it natural for sure. Like I want to,
Yeah.
and I'm actually quite I know I might be saying a different story when we've recorded the podcast after I give birth, but like I at this time, like I'm actually really excited for labor, and I'm excited to experience that, because I just think it's like it's a privilege that I get to experience going through birth, really.
Isn't that just such an incredible shift already? And I just think that because for people who don't know you, you were like you're one of those people, your baseline value is health. You've always had a value towards health. You always enjoy doing things on the natural path. So I just think, first of all, that just goes to show some very normal, hardcore conditioning of the scare and the fear behind birth. Hey, for even someone like yourself and like who's surrounded by, me and Caitlin, who are always posting about and talking about natural birth, to have that initial thought, which I just think that's so interesting. But then how you've gone about changing that thought. So with that, what have you actively done, which I know some bits and pieces you've been doing over the last, 5 weeks or so that you said, to help change that perspective?
I just honestly have been educating myself. Like I started listening to like audiobooks and podcasts, and like your podcast has been amazing. And there's just so much information out there, but I started, instead of listening to like negative birth stories, I was listening to positive birth stories. And then I
Mm-hmm.
actually learned how it works, like what's actually
Yeah.
going on, because I think a lot of people don't realize like how incredible it actually is, like what's actually happening when you give birth, and how your body's doing all of this and you don't even have to think about it. And like the more that I accepted that I was pregnant, because I think that for a while I was like, nah, like like
Yeah.
you're pregnant, it's still just like, like
Yeah.
I just did like a bit of denial. But the more I've softened to that, I'm like, I actually really want to use this time being pregnant to find more strength and more power within myself, because I actually, it's really interesting, but like when we were up in the Kimberleys, it's a really spiritual place. Like the land has a lot of like power. Like it just feels so special up there. And I was just going on these huge walks and I was asking the land, like I was just like, show me what I need to do. Like show me what I need to do to evolve, because I can feel that there's something there, but I don't know. Is it something in my business? I
Mm.
don't know. And then
Yeah.
yeah, asking, and then I'm realizing that like, yeah, pregnancy, like if you allow it to be, can be like an initiation into, really stepping into that person, that mother that you needed, and also that you want to show up in society. Because like I've gone from just simply thinking about myself already to, I'm like, okay, well, I need to, who do I want to be, one as a mother, but also in society. Like I don't want to hold on to that like girl stuff anymore, like I'm
Yes.
not a girl anymore. Like I'm carrying a baby and I'm going to be someone's mum, and that's a big fucking deal to me. And even though it wasn't
Yeah.
on my plan this year, like I trust in the universe and I know that this is what I needed to do. So yeah.
Oh, I am just loving this so much, so much, so much. Because I know that you were talking about, and I wanted to, yeah, delve into this on this podcast, is that you want to let go of this girl stuff, and this actual falling pregnant has given you just this completely new slate, kind of similar to moving to a whole new place, but this completely new slate to be like, okay, I am literally going to rebirth, which every mother does go through this rebirth with every single birth that they do. What sort of version do I want to be at the end? And you've been kind of pondering that thought, hey. So do you have any like kind of thoughts on what you want that person to be or act like?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I think really letting go of like woe is me, victim sort of mentality, and really just
Yeah.
letting go of my past and realizing that like all that matters like is this, what's happening right now, and just embodying love for myself and my body and everyone around me, and not, I don't know, because it's all, but I've already learned that, like, because at the start, like, I just, because I realized how much I had been focused on the way my body looked for my whole life. Like, I've gone in and out of eating things and always being so restrictive, over exercising, all of this stuff. And I still have remained very active throughout my pregnancy so far. And I plan to eat healthy because I know that's from a place of love. However, I've realized how like ego, I was just living from my ego when I was just constantly thinking about like how big my thighs were, and you know what I mean? And it's actually been a
Mm-hmm.
lot of surrendering, because in this pregnancy so far, a lot of people are like, first trimester, I was vomiting and like I completely like lost my appetite and stuff. For me, like before I found out I was pregnant, I was waking up at 3 a.m. in the morning and I was just starving, like ravenous, hungry. And I was like, oh, maybe it's because I'm running more. And then now, like, pretty much every night I have to wake up and eat a banana. And like before I was
Yeah.
pregnant, I never eat bananas. Like that was like a no food for me. Yeah.
Wow.
Like it's been crazy because if I don't eat, I feel nauseous. Like that's what's happening now. So I'm having like smaller meals throughout the day, not, whereas I used to like try not eat for ages and then
Mm.
try to give my body a break from eating. And then because I was like, yeah, I don't know. But now it's like I really can't, like I actually can't, otherwise I'll vomit. Like that's how it is for my body. And
Yeah. Yeah.
I actually think that like at the start my body was like demanding more food, like it needed more food
Yeah.
because I was exerting so much more. So just letting go of all of that, like, and I actually think with that, just letting go of all of that old stuff, like now I have no choice, like it, and it's been hard because like already my body's changed, like obviously my boobs are way bigger and like I, like, I look really bloated all the time because I have a little baby.
Mm.
But like it's just constantly surrendering and just being like, no, like this is amazing. Like I
Yeah.
I don't want to look back on my pregnancy and have lived in fear and resentment the whole time, of being like,
Yeah.
anyway, that was a long-winded answer to your question.
No, no, that was the perfect length because I totally agree. First of all, with that victim mentality, fuck, I relate to that so hard. And I'm just trying to navigate that myself at the moment. And sometimes I'm like, oh no, like it's okay. I've figured it out. It's this. And then the next day I'm like, oh, fuck you. You get it all. Poor me. And I'm like, how did I feel like that yesterday? But today I'm thinking about it and I feel totally different. So totally relatable, by the way. But I think that's really great that you're talking about the body changes during pregnancy and not just like physically, but how it can affect our psyche. Because a fair few of our mamas have, disclosed that they've had different eating disorders and whatever in the past. And we might be seemingly through it, but then as they fall pregnant and as you say, that bloat, and then later in pregnancy, legs get bigger, hips get bigger. It is normal part of birth. We hold and retain fluid and it can be really re-triggering to those old stories. So I think that's really cool that you're aware of that already. And yeah, it'll be great to see that evolve throughout your pregnancy. I'm stoked that you talked about it.
Yeah, I think that, I mean, of course it is like, because we live in a society that like tells you to be so small all the time, but like,
Mm.
and it's kind of like, well, this is just my season of being pregnant and it's my season of carrying more weight because I'm carrying a human, but also I know that once I give birth, like my body is going to probably eat away at my fat because it needs the energy. Like, and I think it's like just trusting that process and being and
Mm-hmm.
just being like, you know what, like, because I was fighting it and I still, like you said, like I have days of like, especially if I've like not slept well or like I just feel super nauseous or like I feel fat or whatever, I'll go back into that victim of like, why, like I didn't eat, like just sort of, not feeling in your power. But it's just a journey,
It is. Just always. And then you think you've nailed it. And then, another trigger pops up and you're back in the same story. It's crazy.
It's
Yeah.
crazy.
All part of it, all part of the process. Something I wanted to talk about for the peeps out there is that I know when you first fell pregnant and you reached out to me, you were like, what do I do? Who do I talk to about the carer? So this is something that I wanted to talk about on the podcast so that other people are aware as well. So essentially, when you fall pregnant, you've got, 9 months, 40 weeks, plus or minus, until you have a baby. So first of all, you need to figure out what type of care do you want to birth that baby in, and then almost reverse engineer it as in like, what type of care do I want through my pregnancy? And by care, what I mean is having appointments throughout your pregnancy that checks in on the health of you and your bub, make sure that's all is well, and ideally give some sort of education, motivation, guidance, support emotionally and physically, that sort of thing. So there's lots of different options out there, right? There's the private hospital option going through a private obstetrician. There's the private midwife option, whether you can get private midwifery at a home birth or private midwifery in a hospital birth. There's the option of public care. And in that public care option, and we'll see where you end up in this option, we've got MGP, which is most ideal. And because that's continuity of care for people who don't know, midwifery group practice. Continuity of care, you see almost the same midwife every single visit. And then ideally that same midwife is there during your birth, or it'll be one of the other midwives in the same team that you already know as well. So that's really awesome. Another option, which I think would be next best for you if the MGP didn't work out, which is where I can't even remember what it's technically called, but it's essentially where, say you want to go to Noosa for your appointment, and the Noosa appointments are up there every Friday with the same midwife. So every Friday or every time you need an appointment, once a month, and then it goes to once a fortnight, etc. You'll go on a Friday and you'll see the exact same midwife, who is a school midwife that then just travels to Noosa, Maroochydore, Caloundra, wherever your outreach clinic is, and you can see the same midwife throughout your whole antenatal period. And then when you go to birth, you birth with a completely different midwife in that setting at the hospital. And then the other option of care, which is probably the most common option, and the type of care that everyone can receive, you don't have to get in or not, there's always enough space, is the normal core midwifery group, which is you go to school and you have your appointments with potentially a different midwife every single time, and then you have a different midwife for your birth as well. So you just go in, do your appointments, get checked up, and then you leave. It's not as much of that kind of continuity aspect. So really being clear, I think, when choosing that care is kind of figuring out, which you've done as well, is how do I want to be cared for through my pregnancy and how do I want to birth? Because obviously if you want a home birth, that's going to be a different point of care in pregnancy. But even what you observed in, I don't want to be treated like a number. I want to be met with warmth, met with guidance, and met as myself, as the woman. I think that really helped you make your decision of what type of care you're after, which was ideally MGP.
Absolutely. And like, I don't know, I would think we're really blessed on the Sunshine Coast as well. Like, it seems like there's a lot of good resources and stuff. I obviously haven't experienced it yet, but
No, I know what you mean.
but then I've also, because I've heard stories of people who have gone through private care and it not like, I've heard a lot of stories of it not actually turning out to be what it seems, you know what I mean? And obviously
Yeah.
I work for myself. I've moved across the country twice now in a year. Well, like on Friday, I'll be moving back. Like, it's been big financial, like it's been big financially, and like I don't have $20,000 to spend on my like by my birth, you know, like I don't. And like
Fair.
I'm so blessed to live in a country that provides that care. And I do think that there's going to be like, I'm just trusting that it's all going to work out, and that, like, you know, I'll have a life that respects what I want as well. Like, going into the birth space, like, I hope that I just get respected with what I kind of want. And I know obviously, like I said, like all I care about is like me and the baby being happy and healthy and whatever that means and looks like. But if like interventions could be postponed and if they're not necessary, that would be amazing. But yeah, we'll see what happens. Have to stay strong, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And I totally agree. I think life is so much freaking easier when you just have this core belief, which isn't for everyone, but this belief that everything will work out for the right reason. So even if, you know, you don't get your way, you're thinking, that's all right, it's for a reason. There's some lesson to learn here. Something's going to come of this.
I think, yeah, and I think so too. And I also think that there's like, obviously it's sometimes easier said than implying and feeling it in the moment, but like, it's almost like pregnancy kind of prepares you for like birth, but also becoming a mum and stepping into that mother like role, because you have like, you don't feel great, but like you still have to kind of do life. And but you can also like create it to be what you want to be. Like, I notice the days when I'm really positive and I'm like, oh, like this actually isn't that bad, like I'm just can move a bit slower today, and just sort of like not make it so, like not fight it. Like, that's what my partner said to me yesterday, because I was having a rough day. Like, I just was so tired and felt nauseous, and just like I was like, I just want to go for a run, like I miss having energy. And then he's like, you're fighting it and it's making you suffer so much more. And like, even though when you first hear that, you're like, you don't fucking understand, but like it's true. Like, it's so true, you know, like
It's so wise, Brenton. I love it.
Oh yeah, I feel really blessed to have him in, like, there's no one else that I would want to do this with, like, at all. Like, he's a gem.
He's a gem. He's a gem. I can't wait to see you both when you get back.
No, I'm so excited. It's literally like 4 days away. I'm just so excited.
Can't wait. And you're just going to scoot over on your flight within 24 hours, be home. Brenton will be doing the long slog in the car.
I know, but
Poor sucker.
I'm really grateful for that too. And I do think it's the best for both of us. Like, as much as I'm
Yeah.
like, it took me a while to get to like the point where I was actually like, okay, honest with that's what I wanted. But once I was honest, like it just felt, because I've literally just come back from Queensland. Like I was like, I had to like go back to shoot some stuff and then fly back here. And then I had to drive up to Perth. Like it's just been so much. And I'm like, the thought of getting in the car for, 7 days straight, and it's fine, it's not fine, but like it's a little bit more enjoyable when like you can have a beer at the end of the day and like laugh it off.
Yeah.
It's not happening when you're pregnant.
No. You're just feeling nauseous all day. Yeah. No. And it's not good for the pregnant body, the pregnant pelvis, long car drives. They're just rough.
No, well, I've been pretty lucky so far. Like I haven't felt, I've noticed that my hips have been tighter. Like, and I feel like I need to stretch all the time. So I'm really excited to like get into doing yoga. I'm so excited to come to your classes and just be back at teaching all the time, because obviously when you're teaching, you're stretching a lot more as well. So
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So let's recap. You are 11 and a half weeks. You have started and make really good headway on transitioning from fear and cesarean section towards birth into I want to do this naturally, I can do it naturally, and feel positive and excited for that, which is freaking sick. And as you say, you might go through these motions, but that is a really what would I say, like a communal goal of our natural birth code mamas is to feel excited for birth. Like literally at that 37-week plus, they are feeling excited, ready, prepared. They're feeling confident in their partner, confident in their bodies. And that's like a really achievable feeling to have before birth. So I definitely don't feel like, oh, that's probably going to go away, because it definitely doesn't have to as such. Oh, sorry, door signs. You've also chosen your port of care, which is MGP, and we're working towards that. And you have done your dating scan. Is that
yes,
all pretty correct?
that's all correct. I have my 13-week scan in less than 2 weeks now, and I'm excited for that because I feel like I've just been carrying this big dirty secret. I'm just like talking to people, but I feel like I'm like, it's going to be nice when I can just be open about it. Like,
Yeah.
and it is interesting. Like, I do understand that people are, they want to keep it quiet in the first trimester and stuff like that. And I totally understand and respect, everyone's whatever they want to do. I have told quite a few people, because I'm just like, well, if something was to go wrong, you guys would know anyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's been good to
Yeah.
have that support of like, even if something happens, like this is still a pregnancy, and this is still, I don't know, it's just interesting. So if you're in your first trimester and like you want to tell someone, like don't feel like just because everyone, like it's the societal norm to not tell before you're 13 weeks. Like it's completely up to you, like you can tell them she doesn't, like it's up to you. It's just be aware that if something does go wrong. But yeah, I don't know. I just really noticed that like it was really like the miscarriage thing was really like pushed on as something to be afraid of at the start as well, which was like really interesting, like
Wow.
yeah, I really noticed that was like, don't tell anyone for this amount of time, which like I do understand, but it's also like, because I found that I was like Googling, I was like chances of miscarriage this week, and like, yeah, it's just not focusing on that, like focusing of like,
Yeah.
oh, amazing.
Something that one of my mamas who went through IVF actually told me, and I just thought that this was so relevant into definitely pregnancy, birth stuff, but even external stuff as well, where she said, how did she, I can't remember the exact scenario, but let's just say it was this situation where she's not 12 weeks yet. It was all IVF, she's miscarried before. She didn't want to let herself get excited for the pregnancy, because she's like, what if something happened? What if something happened and I'm going to be so disappointed? If I'm all excited, I'm going to feel so disappointed that I've miscarried. And then she kind of had this realization where if I get excited about it, I'm going to feel disappointed if I miscarry. if I don't get excited about it and I dwell on it and I'm constantly reminding myself, oh, you could lose this at any second, you could lose this at any second, I'm going to feel equally as disappointed, even if it does happen, even if I was expecting it. You're going to feel super disappointed whether you were excited about it or not. So you may as well just get excited about it. And if it does
Yeah,
happen, you can accept and surrender later on after
absolutely.
grieving and feeling disappointed, etc.
Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah, it's interesting because it is I know what you mean because I never really as much as like I went through a few weeks of being like a little bit scared of that happening. I did, and even the other night, like I had this moment of I actually fell asleep on the couch, which has been happening a lot lately, but I fell asleep on the couch and I woke up. And you know, when you like wake up from falling asleep like pretty early and like you just feel a bit disorientated, I went up
yeah.
and went to the toilet and the light was shining into the toilet and toilet, but the light was off. So it was just sort of like this red tingy light. Anyway, I went to the toilet and I looked down at the toilet paper because I've just like it definitely is in the back of my mind, you know, like I'm like, oh, like
Mm,
checking that everything's okay.
mm-hmm.
And I looked down at the toilet paper and I thought that there was like blood all through the toilet paper, but it was just the reflection of the light.
Oh my God.
But just like I was like my whole body just like got hot and like my heart just sunk and I was like, but then I looked closer and I was like, oh my God, like fuck, like holy shit. And I just
Wow.
sort of like twilight state as well. And then like I just like walked out to my partner and I was just being so weird. Like I was like I couldn't settle. Like I was like laying back down on the couch and I was like, oh, I need to sit over here. And then I was like, oh, I need you to come here. And then like he was like, are you okay? And I was just like started bawling, crying. I was just like, I
Oh,
didn't know that I had a miscarriage. And like it was the fucking scariest thing ever. And I'm just so scared. And then just like fully broke down. I was just like, that was the scariest thing ever. Like, oh yeah. So it makes yeah, it's interesting. And it makes you realize how much you actually want it when something like that happens, you know?
totally. Totally. Especially in your situation where, yeah, it was a surprise and definitely not planned, that it's almost like a nice reminder, isn't it? In like a weird way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm,
Yeah, that was a little experience that I had in that space the other day. Um,
yeah.
but apart from that, it's been pretty good. Yeah.
Apart from the weird light reflection.
Yeah, apart from the weird light reflection. And then like so when I didn't know when I didn't know I was pregnant, but I was pregnant, I was like I would do these little meditations before I went to bed and I was like do I have endometriosis or something? Like, I am getting the weirdest things in my stomach. Like, and it would have been like 6 weeks, and I was just getting like little cramps and stuff like that. But obviously, that was like, you know, a baby, like the pregnancy, the whatever was happening then. But yeah, it's been really interesting, like just trusting your body of like the little things, you know, like when I was driving home from Perth the other night, I actually felt this big like pull in my wasn't obviously like that strong. That was a bit too strong, but like
I know what you mean.
this big little like it was kind of like a pop, but like a push, and I was like in my lower belly, and I was like, what the hell? Like obviously that was the baby, but like, and I don't know whether it's because I'm more in tune with my body from doing so much yoga and meditation that I'm more aware of the sensations. But that was pretty cool because I felt it and it felt like good, you know, it wasn't like, oh,
Yes.
mm.
Yes. Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was cool. It was cool.
That was probably the earliest time I've ever heard of someone having a fearless date.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I thought like because I've heard that like in your second pregnancy you can feel it a lot easier because you're more aware of like earlier and you're more aware of your body and stuff. But who knows?
Yeah. So interesting. So interesting. I was wondering as well, because you weren't using any contraception like formally, were you?
No, no, we weren't. But like, yeah, we no, we weren't, and we never had. But
And it's gotten
try
you this far, so it's done pretty well.
absolutely. However, we the I don't know how to say this because it's pretty funny and inappropriate. Probably TMI. Brenton won't
Hit
listen
us.
to this, but like,
There's no TMI here. You've heard the podcast.
so where we made the baby was actually like out in nature in this little gorge out in in the middle of the Kimberleys, and the position that like my partner was, when we finished, I said, oh, that's the baby making position for sure. Like, I literally said that out loud. So I think that definitely would have something to do with it as well, because yeah, like I think that,
Wow.
yeah, and then it's so crazy to get this right. I took a little video of the spot that we were, like this cute little rock pool thing with a little waterfall. I took a video, sorry, and of Brenton just sitting there, and the time was 11:11, and I was just like, and literally since I've been pregnant, like I don't know if you believe in that kind of stuff, but like since I've been pregnant, it's just like constantly every single day, like
Oh
it's
my God.
wild. Yeah. And then that night, Brenton had a dream about he was holding his own baby in yeah, he had a dream that night. Yeah,
That
crazy.
is so weird. On a side note, you're going to have to show me that position when you get home because I'm very curious on what this baby making position is.
It was
But
just the
that
rock,
is,
like because
oh,
like
you need this specific Kimberly's rock. Okay,
it is
fair.
rock, guys. So if you want to get pregnant, you're gonna have to go out to Mount Hart, and yeah, it was
So
crazy.
good. On a side note with the dreaming thing, there are so many wild stories out there. Like I'm going to give it a story from just yoga I taught this morning at pregnancy yoga. One of our mamas was 38 weeks. So she's very much rearing and ready for birth. Her and her hubby did the birth workshop. They're feeling so ready, so prepared. She's got so much confidence in him. They're very much like a duo, two partners. They've got the exact same idea of what they want about birth. They've got the exact same idea on the decisions that they want to make. And they're very much going in as the same team, which is the whole intent of the workshop. And I just love that for them. And he's just taking up fully on board, which she is too, which is just so amazing. So last night they had friends over and it was them two like at home and then they had whatever friends stay over, including dudes. This morning they were all gathering before she went to yoga and had a conversation and they had all had the same dream that she went into labor that night, didn't even bother going into hospital, which is what she's planning, had the baby at home and it was amazing. And all of them different individuals had their own roles in like they were like saying that they were involved in the birth and it was beautiful and it was amazing. And even the dudes were having this dream. And there was she said three of them, three friends had this dream. Isn't
Wow,
that wild?
it's wild.
What the
Wow.
heck?
I don't, yeah,
I
I
was
don't,
baffled.
yeah, yeah, that doesn't make it, like, it doesn't make any sense, but then it does, because it's like, well, what even happens in our dreams? Like, it's like such a big part of our lives, like we spend so much of our time dreaming, but like, the fuck?
Yeah.
Like,
What the
it's
fuck's
bizarre.
that?
No, especially
Exactly.
like dreams are fucking so weird. I feel like my
So
dreams have
weird.
become like, I don't know, just like it seems like so much subconscious stuff is like
Yeah.
my body is in my brain, or I don't know, it's trying to process things. It's just like constantly just like I've had so many night sweats as well, like so many nights of just waking up in pools of sweat because the dreams have just been so intense.
Wow.
That was happening from the start.
Of pregnancy specifically.
Yeah, and I have had like three different experiences of having like like full like healings in my sleep, where like so I'm like half awake, half asleep, and I can feel my body having this like energy go through me. It's been weird. Like, yeah, it's like I've had, because it'll be when I wake up in the middle of the night and I feel sick, and then I'll just like what I've been doing, and like I'm this like since being pregnant, I've definitely become way more spiritual, and like I've just started like connecting to like source or the divine, whatever you want to call it, way more. And I started
Yeah.
literally when I was like awake and at the night, I'll just be like, you know, Divine, like, can you just help me get back to sleep? Because for a while there, I wasn't going back to sleep because I would be awake and be like, fuck, am I going to get back to sleep? So then I just started asking for help. So I asked for help. And then there's a few times, yeah, it's been 3 different times that I've fallen back into this almost like lucid sleep where I have, yeah, like my body gets like struck down with this like energy, and in my dream I can see my body getting like this light going through, but then I can actually feel it in the physical. Yeah, it's been crazy. And then I just like wake up the next morning and I remember the dream, but like I haven't questioned it. I've just like been like, okay. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Yeah, it's been crazy.
That is incredible. That's interesting. That is so interesting that because you've always been, okay, well, I guess from my perspective and my opinion, pretty spiritual. You've always been into meditation. You've always been into, you know, the universe and breath work and stuff like that, which is amazing. And I totally back it. But then you did even talk about it, dinner the other night, that experience you had in a meditation where you like, you know, took off through some sort of meta state in space. You definitely, what would I say? You definitely inspired me to get back into it. I've just been hopeless at it. And that whole Joe Dispenza thing I was telling you about, how his voice annoys me. And I was like, fuck, well, everything was annoying me at that stage of life that I was trying him. So I tried him again and I really enjoyed it. I didn't find his voice annoying at all. And I've actually got back into Gabby Bernstein as well, which I love.
Yes, I love her as well. Yeah, I really like her books.
Yes, 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 yes. I think I prefer her books over her meditations, but I did really like that Joe Dispenza one. It was the New Potentials one that I was doing. But do you have like any, yeah, actually, do you have any good kind of spiritual practices that you've been doing now that you're pregnant in particular, or not quite at that stage yet?
Well, yeah, I'm actually working on bringing out my own deck of birth affirmation. Oh, but it's pregnancy and birth affirmation cards, because
Yeah.
literally I used to use affirmations a lot and they're something that I've used throughout my life, but since being pregnant I have, yeah, I've been doing that so much because I need it. Like you need it. Like it's like you're going through
Yeah.
this life. Like, yeah, so I definitely have upped that. That's one thing that I've done a lot more. Like I've gone back on the Louise Hay train. Like I'll put Louise Hay on every time and like every day pretty much, and I'll just go for a walk and listen to her. And that's just sort of reaffirming it. I like before I meditate now, like because it's like the first thing I think about is like, oh, I'm pregnant. Like when I wake up, I'm like, oh, okay, like still pregnant. And which is good. And yeah, I'll just like put my hands on my belly and like say hello to the baby and just be like, and one thing that I've been doing is like I'll like ask my body slash the baby if like if this is okay, like because I have stayed really active and like I like exercising a lot, and I've just been like does this feel good? Like for you, like is this okay in my body or
Yeah.
am I yeah, and just listening to that answer straight away, and it does feel good, you know, like, and if it doesn't, I will just honor that, you know.
Yes.
I did
Yes.
have it
Yes.
when I was pretty early on, and like it had only been like a week since I found out like you're obviously still learning what you can and can't do, or that what's recommended. And I did have a sauna, and as soon as I got in there, like my whole body was just like, get the fuck out. And I yeah,
Wow.
it was like, and I was like sitting there and I was like, why is this so uncomfortable? Like, I normally love saunas. My body was just like, I wasn't even sweating. Like, it was just like, it felt like I was getting cooked. Like, it was awful. I stayed in for like 15 minutes because I just started getting so nauseous. I was like, holy fuck. And then got out, had a shower, and just for the rest, I Googled it and it was like, don't have a sauna when you're pregnant. And I was like, fuck. I knew it would be fine because I was in there for like 15 minutes, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good example of like, yeah, just listening to your body. So I think like,
So good.
yeah, I think just like becoming more in tune with your body. Well, that's what I've done is like try to trust my own intuition more now.
Yes.
I think the
Oh,
more
it's
I do,
going to be stronger than ever now in this phase.
yeah, it really is. And even just like trusting, I've noticed I will literally just like think about something and then it happens. Like it feels way more, I just feel so much more connected to like myself, but like the universe as well. And I think,
Yeah.
yeah, like sounds pretty woo woo, but like, fuck it.
Fucking here for it.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it's been
Ah,
really
how
cool.
cool. How
Yeah.
cool. How cool. I love that. I love that side of things. And I love being able to delve into this side of things. I just find it fascinating. Find it fascinating. I wanted to, and this is completely separate to what we were just talking about. For people out there who want to get on MGP, I know that you did a bunch of different steps to make it happen, which we're still like waiting on. Do you want to explain those steps for, yeah, people who were in your position who don't know what to do to get onto MGP?
Yeah, so it was a little bit harder because I was in Western Australia and for some reason the doctor that I went to, she refused to help me, which like apparently she could have, but she just got really weird about it and was just like, I don't feel comfortable referring you to a program. Like, and I was like, all right, lady. So I actually
Mm.
ended up booking into another doctor, just like a random doctor to just get a referral when I was back on the coast. And then went to him. He was also just like, I don't know if you'll get in, like it's not that big of a deal. You can like you don't like all of my kids have had, just public care and like it's not that big of a deal. And
Which
I
is
was like,
just,
all right, bro, that's fucking awesome. But this is what I
uh,
want. So shut the fuck up. Like I was just sitting there and like pretty much every time I've gone to the doctors since I've been pregnant, I've cried. Like it's just been like
um,
yeah, it's just been not ideal. But like I've booked in for the rest of my pregnancy at like a really good doctor who I know is going to treat me with care and like, love. um,
yeah.
so yeah, that's pretty much he sent the referral off and now I'm just waiting. So I don't know what that means.
Oh, great. That guy in WA sent the referral off.
So that was in Queensland when I was back there last week.
Oh, great, great, great. Okay, okay,
I don't know
okay.
what happens next after that.
I think you get a call. I think you get a call saying that you've been accepted into the
Okay.
MGP program. I think
Mm.
so. Yeah, I think so. It will quite often pop up as no caller ID, just a heads up.
Yeah, okay, that's good to
Yeah,
know. Well,
yeah.
keep you guys posted.
Yes, absolutely. And because you did try to call the hospital, but you never
Oh,
got
yeah.
through. Hey.
I did eventually, like, I was like a mad woman for a couple of days. Like, I was just like, it just felt like so much, like, just especially because we're moving and then I was going back to the coast. Like, it just felt like
Yeah,
I was like, holy fuck. So then I just went on this rampage. I was like, nah, I'm going to get this shit sorted. And I was like, I'm just going to call the fucking hospital and like someone's going to talk to me because I don't know what to do. So then I just kept calling every day I would call. And then
yeah.
eventually I got on to a lady and she was just like, she kind of told me what I was going to have to do. But it was good once I spoke to her. She was really, really nice. And it was like the first time that like I started getting treated nicely. So I was like, cool. Hopefully this is a good
No,
start.
absolutely. So did he pretty much tell you? Because I know I was telling you to call the hospital because I know that I've had some of my mamas say that they called the hospital and they've been able to like somehow put it through that way, which I was always shocked about. But did the chick on the phone tell you to get a referral from your GP?
Yeah, she said to get a referral and like as soon as I could. But yeah, I explained to her what was happening over here. And then yeah, so I just did it as soon as I got to the coast pretty much. And then
Yeah.
yeah, so we'll see what happens. But again, it's just like if it doesn't happen, all good. Like hopefully I could do, I
Mm,
didn't know that other option was a program where you see the same midwife up into your birth. And then
mhm.
maybe the universe will align and I'll just have like the biggest weapon for my actual birth. That would be,
Absolutely. You and Brenton are going to be so ready. You guys are going to be so ready, no matter who you get.
I think that like
Absolutely.
I feel like I since like I just love baths and since being I just love being in the bath all the time. And I'm
Yeah.
like, baby in the bath. Like I think I might be, but we'll see. Just because I love
Interesting.
water so much. So I
You do.
would love to be in the bath. And then it's made me be like, should I just have it at home? But I think like for the first one, I should do it in a hospital just to feel that like, I don't know, just in case. And especially because we're up in Kuroiba, to get down to Skoo would be like almost an hour. So
Mm.
yeah, like obviously I've thought so much about birth. Like I've honestly thought so much about it, but like ideally I would want to like labor at home for as long as I can and just chill.
Mm.
Like we're on 10 acres there, so either just like go and walk around the bush and just try kind of like keep myself busy for the first part, and then when it
Mhm.
starts to get more real, we have about an hour drive or like 50 minutes, so yeah. Just have to prepare for that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's unfortunately just no real way around the drive. The drive just sucks and it's just one of those things you deal with.
I
Yeah.
think so. Because one of the girls on your podcast, she jumped in the back seat for the drive. And then last
Yeah.
night, my partner and I like made him watch a birth vlog. Like, yeah, I was like, he was just chilling. I was just like, oh, I'm watching Sarah's Day's birth vlogs again. Like, can you watch them with me? And he was just like, yeah, okay. And then we were watching them, and I was like, I don't think I'd get in the front seat because I'd be like, you know, if you're in pain and like the whole world can see you, whereas if you're in the back seat, you can kind of like, you know, hide a little
I
bit.
agree. I agree. I agree. The backseat's the best. What did
Yeah.
he think about the vlog?
He was, yeah, he was funny. He didn't he was just being silly. You know how guys are. They just like joke about fucking everything. I'm just like, this is silly.
Yes.
Nah, he
Yes.
was like, oh, you're gonna be milking this so hard. And I was like, shut the fuck up. Like
Yeah, I
he's like,
will.
he's like, you're already milking it. I'm like, fuck off. Because some days like it's like, yeah, I mean he's been amazing. Like he is, I really can't complain about how there for me he has been. And yeah, but yeah, we'll see. He'll be amazing though. Like he's literally like the strongest man I know. Like I have no doubt in my mind that he will be able to like stay in his center even when I'm like in pain, you know, like
That is often one of the hardest things for the birth partner, exactly as you say. Stay in your center when she's in pain. Quite often it's like this instinctual response of they get heightened, they get scared, they want to fix the problem that they can't fix. So then sometimes their answer is get the epidural so that she stops being in pain, when it's like that's you reassuring her that she can't do it. Like you need to hold strength in her time of weakness. And yeah, I have no doubt that Brenton will do the same.
I also know that he'll trust me if I'm like, nah, fuck, like, I can't fucking do this anymore. But I also think he's really good at pushing me already. Like
Yeah.
he already pushes me. Like he definitely, like our relationship isn't a comfort zone relationship. Like we're definitely like we like to do things against the grain. So
Yeah.
just naturally, not even like consciously, just it's just the way, like even, you know, he's a musician, I'm a photographer, so our schedules are like we have our like weekends like on a Tuesday or whatever, and it's not
Yeah.
like that. Also, like he's great on no sleep. Like that's another thing that like from being a musician,
Helpful.
pretty good. Like if he only gets a little bit of sleep, like he can kind of charge through. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. And by what you say, like our relationship isn't a comfort zone relationship, do you mean like you guys kind of call each other out as well? Like I feel like you've mentioned a fair few times that he'll like call you out on something. You're like, oh, fuck up. That's so true.
Yeah, he always calls me out on my shit. And like I'll call him out on his shit, but it's only because I love him and I want him
Yeah.
to, it's not from a place of control. Like at the end of the day, like he's a big boy. He can do whatever he wants. But if I see
Mm.
a pattern or like I'm like, why are you doing that? And he'll do the
Yes.
like you're like even yesterday, like he called me out just being like, you're causing so much more suffering from yourself for yourself than you actually need to right now because you're resisting what's happening. And I'm like, fuck you, I know that. Just let me be sad.
Let me be a victim.
It's
I
just
know.
like it's like you can be sad, but you know, you don't have to suffer as much, you know, like just allow yourself to feel what you're feeling because you're pregnant. And I'm like, yeah.
So true. So true. So true. Look, you and I are the same like that. We always talk about it, how it definitely creates more, yeah, I guess like conflict within a relationship when you're always calling each other out. But then we wouldn't change it for anything. Like it just establishes so much more growth in like you guys as individual, you guys as a relationship. And I do also feel like it really encourages you to get so effective at communicating because you are calling each other out and it is your natural state. You got to make sure you're obviously doing it in the right ways, etc. So I just feel like it does so many positive things for the individual and the relationship.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it took a while to get used to that in a relationship because the relationship I had before that was really like it was so nourishing for my nervous system for sure, but like it was really like he'd just do whatever I said and like no, not whatever I said. I hope he doesn't hear this, but he would do like, you know, it was very much like do what I want and everything will be okay. And like I don't think that we were meant to stay together, but also like he wouldn't have felt like I don't think he would have felt very masculine in the relationship.
Mm,
He was acting more feminine, you know what I mean? Just being so
mm-hmm.
like, but then yeah, even like the first months of being with Brenton, I was like, holy shit, like this is way harder, but I love him so much more. Like there's a reason why,
Yeah.
like, because it's
Yeah.
challenging me to like let go of stuff. And yeah, like I had so much control when we first got together, like so much control stuff, like even just like from the
Mm.
food we were eating or like going out for dinner, like it seemed like I was fine, but inside I was like dying. I was like, what? Like, I know I can't do this, but like it just needed to
Yeah.
happen.
I want to go to Mexico. What do you mean like I'm so Italian?
Not fucking listening to me. But then like, yeah, just like full surrender and just being like, all right, I need to trust this motherfucker because yeah, it
Yeah.
is the best. But yeah, everyone has their days. Like, not saying that our relationship's perfect or by any means, but it's definitely like we're in it to grow and we're in it to like, I don't know, just like, because I just have learned that like it's not the relationship that's going to make you feel whole and loved. The relationship's going to show you the places in yourself that you need to love and that you need to let go of and that you need to soften, you know, and it does come back down to like how you treat yourself because that's how you treat your partner as well. Like on the days that I feel like shit, like I treat him like shit more, you know what I mean?
Mm. Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
Mm-hmm. I 100% agree with that. On that beautiful note, let's finish up this podcast. Is there anything else you wanted to share with the mamas at this stage?
I feel like we just yapped on for a long time.
I freaking love it. I love it. I love it. I am so pumped to be doing this series with you. This is going to be epic.
So next time we talk, I would have had the 13-week scan and
Yeah.
I would be in my second trimester by then. So we can see
Yeah,
what's
absolutely. And you'll be back on the coast doing all your things. And hopefully we'll know what type of care you're going ahead with by then as well, I reckon.
I'm also going to find out what the gender is, which is exciting.
Yes. So you are going to find out? Yes. Do you
Yeah.
have any inclination?
I think it's going to be a girl.
Ooh,
And
okay. Well, fuck. You've claimed it right here. If
here we
you're
go.
right, we're all going to know about it.
Yeah.
So good. Oh, well, thank you so much, Gracie. And we'll do this again in a month.
Amazing.
Alrighty. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.